Welcome, cave dwellers, and welcome to the Game Cave. Today is a special day, so I need you to get out your journal and write this sentence down. Today is going to be a good day, because in the cave, not only do we do DIY projects and game reviews and playthroughs and how-tos, we do a little segment called Kicking It with Kickstarter, and that is where we're at today. We're going to be doing a live sit-down with the creator of Halls of Horror, a new game on Kickstarter right now. So without further... We got to hurry this up, because I hear someone coming. Without further ado, let's get to the video.
Hi, this game is Halls of Horror. It's a competitive exploration horror game in which you're trying to get out of a sort of a haunted mansion situation.
Okay.
It's inspired by movies such as Saw and Cube, with a dash of the old slasher movie in there, because we also have a killer character over here. And that's gonna be it's going to be you who's going to set that guy up, but first I'll just explain to everybody what we're looking at here. So what I prepared here is a setup for 2 players. In the game plays 1 to 4 players. We have solo mode as well, and with 4 or 3 players you set up the board in such a way that you set these cards down in a 4x5 grid. For a 2-player game, we set them up in a 4x4 grid. And we each start in our own little corner of that house that we've been put in by the mysterious master of the ceremony. He's the guy who organized this whole thing, built this whole place, and he's also the guy behind Mr. Killer over here. So I'll let you set him up, because in a 2-player game, since I'm going to be the first player for the first turn, the second player sets up where the killer starts. But let's first go through some of the general rules of the game and the goal. So what's going to happen is we're going to be using these cards. We've got 5 of these cards that are used for movement or searching.
Okay.
And searching is an action that you do on the space you currently occupy, while moving obviously moves you around. And then that happens when we're alone in a room at the beginning of the game, but if at the beginning of the turn. But if we start with somebody else, then we have to choose from an escape or an attack card. So there's combat involved there.
Okay.
So each turn is going to be us playing one of these cards face down, and then revealing them simultaneously and moving in turn order from the first player. When you move on one of these rooms, on one of these locations, you flip them and you see what's underneath. Usually it's a space that you can explore during further turns, but sometimes it's a place that kind of locks you in until you solve a little puzzle, by which we mean manipulate some of these cards over here. And these cards here are also used for searching generally. So just to give you a quick idea of what we're doing here, we're looking for an exit. There are 2 exits on this board. 2 of these cards are exits, and you need 2 keys to be able to use an exit and win. If you escape, you're the only person who survives and wins. And the keys we can find either by searching the rooms, or potentially by fighting one another or fighting the killer. So let me just quickly put these cards into my hand.
Okay.
Okay, and once that's set up, we can basically start by playing one of these actions, so either a search or one of the move cards. And movement is relative to where you're sitting, so since we're occupying kind of the same table space, what that means is for us, up is kind of, up is the same, left is the same, etc.
Okay.
So I'm gonna pick one of my movement cards now and put it down, put it face down on the board, and you can basically do the same thing.
Okay. So let's put mine right here then.
Okay, and then flip. And since I picked the move down card and you've picked the move left card, we would both move to that direction. And obviously, since this is a new location that we're discovering, we would flip that one up and see what's... Okay, so mine's a skin-covered niche, and to search it, I need a knife. So some of these locations will tell you that you actually need a specific item to be able to even search there. Obviously, I don't start with the knife, so I will have to find one and then get back here and try to search this place.
Oh, okay, okay. So on your card here, in general, we've got search. Is that? I'm
Yeah.
assuming that's. I mean, I'm sure that's probably done from a dice roll of some sort.
That's a search symbol and a search value, and that's the number of cards from this deck over here that you're going to be drawing. The system for searching in this game is carried out by these cards, and maybe do your move, and let's see if you happen to be in a room where you can search next turn.
Sure. Okay.
And then I can explain that as we see it. So okay, so yours also a room that needs a gun, to a pistol to operate. So we both are in kind of the same situation. We'll both need to find an item. But I'll go into on my card. Let's take that as an example. I'll give you an explanation of how that works. So
Okay.
what you'll see on that card is in the lower left corner, there's going to be a search value, and there's a number of cards you draw. And then the arrow indicates that you take any rewards you take are their priority is on the left hand side. So once you draw these cards, which we'll probably see in a turn when we find ourselves in rooms where we can search, you'll see that you can have different kinds of rewards. If you draw that amount of cards and there's a majority of one of these free rewards, in my case, in the case of this card, that's either damage or a panic status or a Kevlar vest. So if I find the majority of any of these free, that's the reward I get.
Okay.
And now if there is a tie, so if say I picked a single damage card and a single Kevlar vest card, I would receive the damage because that's the reward that's closest to the left hand side. But there is a way to mitigate that, and also, but let's first focus a bit on these frames here. So you can probably see that on the skin covered niche card, we've got the left hand reward that has no frame around it, and no frame means that that reward is available there all the time. So no matter how many times somebody gets there and gets that reward, another person can still get in further turns and still get that reward. In this
Okay.
case, more like a penalty because it's damage. Then we've got a square frame, and a square frame means that it's a one-off reward.
Okay.
If you would get that reward, you would then cover it up. We've got a token right here. And you would put that token on the card, and that indicates that basically this reward is no longer there. So it's treated as if it wasn't printed on the card at all. And then the octagon frame on the right-hand side is kind of like a logical conclusion to that, which means it's a one-off reward, and it also exhausts the room. So a room becomes exhausted when either you hit one of these octagon rewards, or if you found all the positive rewards that were available in that room. And there are some other rules that make the room exhausted. And what that means is you would take that token from the room, if there are any tokens on the room beforehand, and just place it on the search value. And from this moment onwards, you cannot search in that room any longer. Okay, but we did forget one thing, and that was setting up the killer. So what you should do before I proceed is, as the second player in a two-player game, you should pick one of these four central locations and put the killer on one of them. The killer is this figurine over here, and basically you don't want him to be near you because he is pretty tough in combat, especially now since we don't have any weapons yet. And he will be controlled by me and you in turn. Each turn, we're gonna draw one of these cards from here, and that's gonna be my card for the turn because I'm the first player, but
Okay.
I'm still waiting where the killer is going to end up. And there's gonna be an instruction of some kind there. You might notice that I've separated the deck into two piles. We've got one pile over here and another one is over there, and that's because in a two-player game you play with fewer cards because some of these are way too powerful for a two-player game. So
Okay. All right, so I will move the infamous killer to a room. I'm gonna put him right here.
all right, so that's where he is. So after we've done our moves for the turn, which is basically we've only picked the move cards, we can retrieve those cards. And that's also the moment when I play the top MC card. That's the purple card that I've just drawn, and
Okay.
let's see what it says. Okay, so these cards will usually have some kind of instruction that you have to adhere to, but also they will have a number of these sickle symbols. These symbols are used to move the killer around, to heal him, and to increase his rage. How that works is on the turn summary card next to your character, and also on the killer sheet, there's a small cheat sheet telling you what these symbols do and how many of them you have to spend to actually do something. So in this case, I only have a single symbol to spend. What I could do is move him around, or I could heal him because he's at 10 HP at the start, but the maximum is 12. Or I could potentially increase his rage. So let's not move him yet, but I will increase his rage by 1. So let's go over here to discard. We've got 2 tokens here, one for rage, one for HP. So I'm gonna take the HP token and move it to the next rightmost space. There we go. As his rage increases, the killer's damage and the number of dice he rolls also increases. So he's becoming more and more dangerous as he becomes more angry. Okay, this goes to the discard, and then the first player card is passed to the second player. So that would. And again, we now pick one of our action cards, and we see what we find in the next room we visit.
All right. So in this situation here, I could technically search the room.
In this one, you're not able to search the room because you don't have the pistol yet.
Oh yeah. Okay.
To search
I
this
see what you're
one
saying.
specifically, you need a pistol and bullet to search this one
To
specifically,
search
and the
this
same
room.
is for me.
Okay.
Yeah. Same
Okay.
for me. I can't really search my room because I don't have a knife yet.
Got you. Okay, so let's do this. Let's So when you move the killer, do you have the choice of where to move him?
Yes, when you spend a single sickle symbol, a single killer symbol to move the killer, you pick where to move him, and if you have multiple symbols, you can spend multiple symbols on moving him. It's your choice.
Okay. So I think I need to do this. All right. I think I can do this. Let's try it. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but let's do this.
Yeah, you can definitely go back to where you've been. No issues. So you move first, and then when you move to that location, I will now move. And I've stumbled upon a pretty nice room where I can actually find some weapons. So I'll show you how searching works next turn when I actually get to do the search action. But for now, because again we both moved, it's your turn to draw a Master of the Ceremony card from the top and see what it says.
Okay, let's look at our damage.
Okay, so this one's interesting because it gives you two kinds of instructions. The first one pertains to an exhausted empty room. We don't actually have any of these yet because we have some empty rooms, but none of them are exhausted. We exhaust the room whenever, there are no positive rewards there, or whenever it's a puzzle room that we probably will get to once we stumble upon one that gets completed. Then you exhaust that room. But it also has a second part to it, which says that if you can perform the above, you get to spend 2 points on the killer.
Oh.
So for that, we can go to either the killer sheet or the turn summary to see that you can basically spend points to either increase his rate by 1, increase his health by 1, or move him a single space. You would also be able to activate him, but the killer is currently activated. When he's not, that's when he's kind of flipped on his back. That's when he's stunned, and that's a separate thing. But because he's activated, you can now move him or heal him or increase his rage.
Well, I'm gonna move him. I think that's our best bet. And I'm obviously against you, so I need to move him this way.
Yeah, so that's 1 point of movement, and you still have another point to spend on something. It can be movement again, or you can increase his rage or his health.
Let's see if I'm gonna plan my next move. All right, let's increase his rage by 1.
Okay, so that's the top marker there on the sheet. Right. Okay, so that was your turn. Now the first player card comes back to me, and we'll be picking our actions for the next turn again.
Now this room is searchable.
Yes, the one you start in is searchable. You don't actually require any special item or any special action to search it. All you need to do is place down the search card in order to declare the search there.
Okay.
Yeah, so obviously I'm going to do the same because the room I ended up with is actually pretty good. So let's now go to searching. As you can see from the card I'm standing on, I need to draw 5 cards, so I'll do that right. And we've got 5 cards showing different rewards. Now what happens is the first order of business is to remove any of these cards that are not represented on the card that I'm standing on. So let's see what we have here. We've got damage, a pistol, a knife, and a shotgun shell. So what I can do now is we can remove the panic, the key, and we keep the other 3 cards in because they are represented on the room. What happens now is if this was a tie, if I only had these 2, I would receive damage because it's the leftmost reward. But because there's a majority, thanks to this knife card, this melee weapon card, being here twice, that means I receive the knife, even though it's technically almost on the rightmost side of the card, because it's a majority.
Okay.
So I'll take my knife card. And now, not only do I have the capacity to open that skin-covered niche that I came from, that room that I've stumbled upon first, but also this increases the damage I deal in combat. So normally, when you're in combat, you only deal 2 damage from your basic combat attack card.
Okay.
But thanks to the knife, I now deal 3 instead of 2. We can reset these cards now to create a discard pile before it's your turn to search. And since you also pick the search card, you can draw 4 cards from the top of the deck. Okay, so let's see here. This situation is actually pretty easy to parse because what happens is only one of the cards that you've actually drawn are represented on the room, and that's the ammo card. In your situation, because we always take the leftmost card, what happens is you could get either a bullet or a shell, but you only get the shell a single time, and that's what happens to you because you want the ammunition reward and you take the leftmost reward. That would be the shotgun shell.
Okay.
For Tabletopia, I've set up these counters for ammunition and other items, ammunition and the keys. So feel free to give yourself a single shell.
There we go.
Yeah, that's a bullet, I believe. So it's the other one.
Yeah. My bad. Yeah, I see it now.
Okay, and we also now mark that reward because it's in a square frame.
Sure.
We mark that reward as exhausted.
Okay.
Okay. Also, I just noticed that you have that kind of fist icon over there. That should read 1. We all start with a single point of resolve, and that's something that I'll tell you about. Actually, I'll tell you about it right now. So, what could happen is when you're searching, you can spend resolve to draw 2 additional cards and discard any single card of all the ones you've drawn before accepting the reward. So that's actually useful if you're looking for something specific but it didn't come up, or if you were looking for a nice weapon but you got, say, damage instead.
Thanks for the follow, buddy.
So in that way, spending resolve allows you to modify what you draw. And resolve is also used in combat. You roll dice in combat, you always roll 4. There's a margin of success to the card you've picked. It's either 5 and 6 or 4, 5, and 6, depending on the card you use. And then you can potentially spend resolve to re-roll any number of dice. But in both of these cases, resolve actually gives you diminishing returns. So what happens is in searching, you draw 2 cards for the first resolve token, but only one additional card for each resolve token after the first. And similarly in combat, I can re-roll any number of dice with my first resolve token, but I can only then start re-rolling 1 dice per each token if I use more than 1.
Okay.
I'll remind you about that when it comes up.
Okay. I have an angry dog upstairs.
Alright, so one thing that's left to do is I also didn't mark my knife reward as exhausted, so I'll do that right now.
Oh, yeah.
And this way we can proceed to drawing the Master of the Ceremony card, and let's see what the killer does this time. The Killer's Wrath. Okay, so we have a few instructions here. If the killer is stunned, we would activate him, but he's not. If the killer is activated, I have to increase his rage by 1, and I also have 1 killer point to spend, and that's what we'll do. And if the killer was dead, we would get 3 points to spend on him, because the killer doesn't actually stay down for long.
Yeah.
So what we'll do right now is I'll increase his rage by 1. And I can also now do something with the other points, so... yeah, I think I'm just gonna push him your direction again, because I don't like him standing so close to me.
No, I don't either.
Alright, so that's the turn. Now you're the first player.
And I'm assuming, since the room isn't exhausted, I could search this room again.
Yes, you could, but the only thing that you have available right now is either you'll get damaged or you will get a single bullet.
Okay.
Since you don't have a pistol yet, it can be a good idea to grab some bullets now and search for a pistol later, but you might as well walk around and see if you can find something else, especially since you're the player who's going to control the killer this turn. So I would
Ah,
say
yes,
it's
yes.
safe for you to move up and see if you find anything there, for example.
Excellent. Okay. Good suggestion. All right.
Meanwhile, I think I'll stay around because that pistol in this room seems very tempting. So I'm gonna search. What are you going to do?
I'm going to go up.
Okay, let's see what you find. Ah, it's another room that requires a knife this time, and also gives you a Kevlar vest. So you'll need to do some more searching, which means you have to play for time and send the killer my way, probably.
Okay.
Okay, in the meanwhile, I will draw my 5 cards and see what happens with my... Okay, so I got lucky again, because what actually happens here is I will remove the key card first, because that's the only one not represented on the... And then I've got a majority of guns in here, a majority of firearms, which means that even though I also have the damage, and it's the leftmost, I get a pistol again, and I guess that's it for me searching this room, because this is kind of pushing it. A pistol comes equipped with two bullets. And since I now have two weapons, what I will have to do before I roll the dice for combat, I will have to declare which one of these I want to use. And if I use the pistol, I will spend that bullet no matter what the result of the roll is actually going to be.
Okay.
All right, so feel free to draw your Master of the Ceremony card, and let's see if the killer can do some damage. Okay, we've got a gift. So what happens now is you might notice this small stack next to the killer. This stack, these 12 tokens, these white tokens, are Master of the Ceremony gifts, and I've shuffled them beforehand. So you can now place one of these face down without revealing it in an empty room. So not in a room that you or the killer or I am in, but any other room you want.
Okay.
And then you will also get 1 point to move the killer. So you can actually plan this out so you can increase your chances of actually getting that item yourself. The chances here are for one of each items in the game, including the key, which might be crucial. But there are also free kind of booby trap card tokens that will deal you damage or make you panic.
Oh, okay.
So it's a mix of good and bad, but mostly good. And also, you now
Okay.
have that 1 point to spend on the killer as well.
Yeah, let's get him out of my direction.
Cool. All right. So next turn then. Let's think here. Oh, also, I need to set down that token. Okay, well, it's about time I move away from here, I think. So that's my card.
Okay.
All right. So let's see what happens here. That's actually an interesting place, but I already do have a gun, so this is a risk that I don't actually need to take. But this is a unique room that you can sacrifice health in order to get a pistol, basically.
Okay.
Since I already have one, and you can't actually have 2 copies of the same item, this would only mean that I get a single resolve point as kind of small prize, a small bonus for finding something. But you can only actually hold a single card of a single type of item.
Okay.
So I won't get to benefit from this. But what this also means is that you might. So we'll need to see what happens. And then your move is up. And this is another gun that you can actually find here.
Nice. I need that gun. All right,
So that's good. Yeah.
does the gift now get turned over?
No, the gift gets turned over when you search in this place. So basically, the next time you search here, you're gonna have the option of either picking up that token and seeing what's there, or just doing a regular search, drawing cards and seeing if you can hit that pistol card. So that's gonna be a choice you'll have to make
I am forced with
next
tough
turn.
decisions. Okay. Yep, Master Ceremony.
Yeah. Yeah, so I have a single point to spend on him, and I also have to increase his rage by 1. So what I will do is I'll move him around, and I'll move him far away to here, and then also increase his rage, which is now at maximum, which doesn't bode well for.
I was gonna say he's pretty beastly at this point.
Yeah, the good news is that his rage does actually come down with different circumstances. Most notably, whenever he's in combat with us, and we either escape or he kills one of the characters. Basically, whenever he remains alone in a room after combat, he will get stunned, meaning we'll just place him on his side, and he's gonna take a while to get back on his feet. And also his rage is going to decrease by 1. So basically, we might not want to do it, but at some point we will have to fight him, and then his rage will kind of start subsiding.
Okay.
All right, the card passes to you.
Okay. Pick this sucker up here. All right, and there we go.
Okay, so which one do you want to do?
I am going to. I'm gonna risk it. I'm gonna look see what that reward is. I'm feeling pretty good.
Okay.
Right with it.
Look it up. What is it? Nah, not this time. Okay, so it's a single point of damage. So what that does is we'll remove that token because we don't actually shuffle it in. There's only enough cards here to throw some of these out. And what happens is we're gonna decrease your health by 1. So we can either do it here, or I've also put a counter over here. So up to us, whichever we decide is better.
Okay.
And also, for every point of damage you receive, you also receive resolve. So right now you have 2 points of resolve instead of 1. That's going to come in useful later on. And you can also search here next time, and this time, actually look for the weapon there. Meanwhile, I'm going to move right. And I have just found one of the exits. So we now can see that one of the 2 exits is over here at the bottom of the board.
It's pretty close by.
Yeah, relatively, especially since I'm kind of eyeing that room with a suspended skull place where I can potentially get a key, since I do have a pistol now. So I'll see how that works, but that's going to happen next turn. Meanwhile, you get to draw another Master of the Ceremony card. And place another gift.
Let's make this challenging.
And then a single point to use on the killer as well.
Let's take it. I don't want to take his health up. I think I just want to move him.
Okay. Back to me then. So I kind of already spoiled what I'm planning to do.
I don't know. Oh yeah, I know exactly what I'm doing.
There we go. Okay, so I'm just gonna move. And then you get to draw these 4 cards and see if you can get a gun out of them. Okay, so you actually do get one of these, because there is no damage here, so even though damage is the leftmost reward on the location card, because it's not in the cards you've drawn, it's disregarded, and there's only a single card with firearms here that you've drawn, but that's enough.
Okay.
That means you do get the gun. There you go, that's your pistol. You can increase those bullets by 2. And then we also have to now exhaust this room, because this reward is in an octagonal frame.
Okay.
So what this means is basically there's nothing left to search for here.
It's an empty room. Okay.
All right. Ready for next turn. Or actually, are we? No, because I didn't draw a Master of the Ceremony card. Let's first
okay.
see what happens there. Something changed. All right, so in this case, if you were not in the room where you're standing right now, I could exchange that one. But because it's not considered an empty room, even though it's exhausted, because your miniature is on there. So instead, we will have our first combat, because I'm totally sending that killer to your room.
Here he comes.
Alright, so what happens now is, instead of the regular action cards, what you have to pick right now is either the combat or the escape card.
Let's see here. Let's do combat. I have a gun. Let's take a pop shot.
And then I'm going to also pick my action for the turn. I'm going to search, but first let's do yours. So what happens is, usually when you fight the killer, the first player rolls for the killer, but because you're the first player and you're fighting them, I'm going to do that. So right now the killer rolls 5 dice, so all of his dice. The killer always succeeds on 4, 5, and 6, but he cannot re-roll dice, whereas you have those 2 resolve points, so we'll see if you need them or not. Note that if you're using a pistol against him, that also means that you deal 4 damage, and that your margin of success is 4, 5, and 6.
Wow.
So you're equally matched, but he has a single die more than you do. So we'll see what happens. You always roll all 4 of your dice.
Okay. Ugh.
Yeah, not great. His is actually 5 out of 5. So usually I would suggest that you try and re-roll, but because the killer wins on ties, and he actually has like more successes right now than you do, what that means is you basically are no match for him right now. So what happens is, because you've used the gun, we have to decrease your ammunition by 1.
Okay.
And now you also have to lose 4 points of health. The good news being that you also get 4 resolve tokens.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that's the end of your turn, whereas my turn is going to be trying to search for that key. But first I also have to expend a bullet.
Okay, yep, because it cost a bullet in this room to search.
Yep. Okay, so I've drawn 3 cards. I need to draw 4, so let's reshuffle the discard. Okay, none for me this time. So what happens is, I can potentially spend a resolve point now to draw 2 more cards. And because there's no negative reward here, and I've already spent that bullet, I might as well do that because having a key might actually be very useful. So let's do that then. Now I will now draw 2 cards. And no keys there either. So what happens is if you don't get any reward from a search, you basically get 1 resolve back as sort of a consolation prize.
Okay.
Which means that I've only lost a bullet and some time, and increased my chances of actually finding the key there. Okay, now it's up to you to draw that Master of the Ceremony card again.
Okay.
And the killer generally doesn't move from combat, so let's see what it says here. Nooks and crannies. Yeah. So we do actually have 2 rooms that you can remove an exhausted reward token from. You can remove one from the secured weapon collection over here, or from the starting room over here.
So you're right here. Let's do, what was here? That was a gun. Knife. And this one was a shell.
Yeah.
This benefits neither one of us, really, so I'm going to take
Yeah.
the shell off.
Okay. And then you also have a single point to spend on the killer. So since you cannot move him because he's in combat, and since his rage is maximum, you might have to increase his hit points by 1.
That's our only option. Yep.
All right, and now we play another turn, so you can try to attack him again, or you can try to escape.
I took a pretty good hit last time, so I'm going to try to escape.
Okay, I'm gonna try to search again there, so let me just quickly draw those 4 cards again and decrease my bullets by 1. Not a single key.
Wow.
But I still have that resolve that I've taken from last turn, so maybe finally if I spend it, 2 more cards. That's very unfortunate. Alright, so I've just lost 2 bullets and have nothing to show for it. Well, that happens. Alright, in the meantime, I'll roll for the killer, and again I roll 5 dice and you roll 4, but because you're escaping, you don't actually spend a bullet because you're not shooting the guy, and your margin of success is the same, so it's 4, 5, and 6. Alright, so that's actually better. So what happens now is we've got 2 successes on your part and 2 on the part of the killer. The killer wins on ties, so if you lose while escaping, you do actually escape, but you do receive the damage.
Okay.
However, you can still use resolve to reroll the 2 dice that didn't end up being a success this turn. So if you spend just a single resolve token, you can reroll both of the dice, the 2 and the 3, to see if you can get a better result.
Let's do that. There we go.
All right, 4 successes, in which case that means that you escape, and you escape without getting any damage. Escaping means you basically move to one of the adjacent locations. It might be an undiscovered one if you want to.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, let's go here then.
Okay, so what happens with the killer is, like I mentioned before, every time he's alone in a room after combat, what happens is we're gonna put him on his and decrease his rage by 1. Now he's considered stunned. What this means is We cannot move him around. We can still increase his HP and his rage. But most importantly, if we ever get 2 killer symbols to spend right now, the priority is on activating the killer. So it costs 2 points, but if we get 2 points, we have to do that and put him upright.
Okay.
In the meantime, let's see what you found in that location. It flips the moment you move on it. Alright, so you can find a knife or a shell. That knife might be useful because there are actually 2 different locations right now that require the knife, and one of them even has a reward that neither of us has yet.
Okay. I got time.
Let me see what we have here. Something changed. So again, I can't really exchange any room here because the one room that we could do it to is occupied by the killer. Even though he's stunned there, it's still considered not an empty room. So I have to do the other thing, which is spend 2 points on him, which means putting him back up.
Now I don't have time.
Bear in mind, though, that you're the person who's going to control him next, so...
Yeah, good point. Good point.
Okay, I need another plan because this one didn't work out. Okay, let's do your search first. So draw those four cards and see if there are any knives or ammunition in there, or damage.
Not a single one. You know what? I got some.
Okay, so yeah, you do.
Let's use one. If I can click on the right, there we go. And draw 2.
Yes.
Okay.
And there's the damage, but what happens is, remember that you can always remove a single card. When you spend your first point of resolve, that also allows you to remove a single. So you could potentially remove the damage entirely, and in that case, you're still left with no rewards actually on that location, which means you get a resolve back.
Okay.
So it's not actually that bad of a result.
Good.
In the meantime, let's see what hides over here. The second exit.
Oh, wow.
Alright, and now it's you who controls the master of the ceremony. Okay, single point to spend.
Man, I need to get... Okay, so if I play... I'm going to place him here. Get him closer to that exit.
Yep. Okay, so you've made that decision a bit easier then.
Guys, we are playing Halls of Horror live on Kickstarter right now. Go check it out. Continue to watch. We are learning the game. We are playing with the creator of the game.
What to do now?
I'm gonna, yeah, okay. Simple.
Okay. Let's see. All right. I could potentially get a shotgun, or I could get 2 damage.
Yep.
But that's next turn. Meanwhile, you search that location again.
Search it. I'm gonna put that discard right here. 1, 2, 3. Flip that over. Give us a good shuffle. And 4. Here we go. Oh, come on.
You do get the ammo though.
I would get the ammo.
Yeah, it's a single shotgun shell. Or you can spend resolve and see if you can get something better.
I think I will. I think I will do resolve because I'm feeling that knife coming up in this next 2 here. Wrong way. Oh my goodness, it's real touchy. There we go. All right, 1, 2, and flip her over.
There we go. That's the knife. All right. So now you're eligible to explore those other rooms that we couldn't get access to before. Okay. Let me see what the killer does this time. Something changed, and now we can actually do this card. So what happens is there's a single eligible room for this, the one that you vacated a few turns before, the glass sculpture room. So what I'll do is we'll remove the token from the circle, take that card away, and I've got a set of cards over here set on the side. We'll pick one of them. I think I did do a good shuffle and place it back here.
Okay.
So, and at this point, I will also move the killer a single space, just so he's farther away from me. Okay.
All right.
Okay. So go ahead first.
Okay. Ooh. So I can't
Potentially.
have that gun twice.
Yeah. No, but this actually means that you have to spend a bullet if you own a pistol. So that's what the icon says, and then you'll
Okay.
get a first aid kit. So that's actually very good for you because you're low on health.
Yes.
A first aid kit will be able to get used later as a surge action, and that will increase your health by 3. And actually, because there is no number here, that also means that this is a guaranteed reward. So all you have to do is search here next turn and spend a bullet, and that's your reward.
Okay.
You don't even have to draw any cards. So that's actually very useful for you. Let's see if I can get that shotgun. Well, it was good until it wasn't. So at this point, I've got both the damage reward and the shotgun reward, and unfortunately, the damage reward is the leftmost.
Aha.
And even more unfortunately, I don't actually have any resolve to do anything about it. So in this case, this is 2 points of damage that I have to take as the reward, and it's an octagonal frame, which means I also lose the chance to actually get a shotgun later on.
Oh.
Unfortunate. But I do get 2 points of resolve for that damage, so there's a silver lining.
That's true. You always have to be optimistic when being chased by a serial killer.
Yes, well, the other alternative is, lying down and letting him get you, which doesn't sound very smart.
No. Which happens in every horror movie anyway.
I mean, it's stress and everything, so it's understandable. But I hope that you can see that we kind of try to mirror this slasher movie, horror movie dynamic
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
here, and to have that killer who's kind of, he's always around, and you can even sometimes tell where he is, but it's not always obvious where he's gonna strike and when.
Exactly.
And on that topic, it's now your turn to get a MC card.
Okay, let's draw. Wait, not the whole deck. I don't want everything to happen at once. All right.
Ooh, terror. So if he was adjacent to us, we would now every person he would be adjacent to would lose a single resolve point. But in this case, you get to spend 2 points on him
All right. Let's go
because that's
ahead
the next.
and put him right here.
Okay, too close for comfort.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what happens then. All right. That's a location that would have been useful a few turns ago, but not anymore. And now it's your decision to either spend that bullet and get that first aid kit, or peek under that MC token, that gift token, and see what it holds.
I've got at least 2 turns here, unless you want to come up and do something. I'm gonna peek at this token first. So let's flip that over. There we go.
2 bullets.
That's what
That's
I
actually
said.
pretty useful.
I got lucky in that room.
Yeah. And you still have a turn to search it.
Yes.
That's interesting. Okay. We'll see what happens. Let's see what the killer. There's a gift from DMC. Alright. So I think that I'm just going to hope it's something good. Place it over there, and then do something about the killer again. Yeah, he's way too tough right now, so let's just keep him.
You keep him at bay. Now I can really see the dynamic in the game when you're going to have multiple players. 4 players seems like it would be uh, hilariously fun, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's a lot of interaction with four players also because we all declare our moves in the same at the same time. You can get these weird situations when you're not really sure if the other people are thinking about going to the same room as you are, for example, and you don't, obviously, if you're not prepared to fight in this game, you probably shouldn't risk it because it's just probably not worth the risk.
Right.
So, especially early on in the game, it's better to explore rather than fight because this way you can get access to more of the good rewards.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right, did my move. So I assume you want to spend that bullet.
I do.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you the first aid. And that way you can spend another turn there to actually heal up 3 points. So
Okay.
that might be useful. That will actually put you at the same amount of health points that I'm at right now. So
Nice.
okay, how about that MC card?
Let's do it.
One point. Still gravitating my way. Okay. Let's see what's under this token then. Two shells. Not useless, but not exactly useful either. I hope I get to find another shotgun.
Shotguns definitely need.
This would have been really useful if I've gotten that shotgun before. Ooh, that one's interesting. So, okay, you might have noticed that the two exits that we've uncovered also had these puzzle symbols to them. Whereas the magnifying glass means that you draw that amount of cards and you look for specific things that are printed onto the location. Whenever you see a puzzle symbol, that means it's a puzzle room and it works a bit differently. You draw the same amount of cards as indicated on the card, but you actually look for pairs. That's why that double card symbol is there above that arrow. And what that means is if you get a pair, in case of this room specifically, if you get a pair, you get that reward and the room is exhausted. And if you don't get a pair, you move to the other reward, which in this case is damage, and you can keep trying to search in that room. And exits are similar. So to search an exit, we will need 2 keys, but we also have to actually draw cards to see if we get a pair of cards and actually manage to open the door in that turn.
Okay.
In the meantime, the killer is still hunting. And seemingly very undecisive. Right. Okay. So you go first.
All right.
You're looking for a pair. Any pair of cards. It doesn't have to be that specific thing that's printed on there.
Okay.
And you did find it.
Nice.
You have a pair of firearm cards, so you get that reward over there, which is the axe. And we also exhaust that room.
Okay.
And then it's my turn to draw and see if I can get that Kevlar vest.
Here it is.
Yes, majority of Kevlar vests. Very good. Alright, so that's the reward I get, and that's also an octagonal frame, so I will exhaust my room as well. So a Kevlar vest actually takes in damage from the first hit you receive after gaining that Kevlar vest. So whatever hits me next in combat, that's going to basically make me not lose hit points.
Okay.
Okay, so you can make a reward available again. And the eligible rooms are, I believe, the secured weapon collection and the room with steel cabinets.
Ooh. Let's do this one.
Okay. And a single point of movement for the killer.
Once again,
Well,
he hears noise, but he just really can't figure out where it's coming from.
I am kind of scared of fighting him, especially since I have no ammo, so that's actually not a smart thing to do right now. Okay, but I see an opening though. Let's see what you found. Some more shotgun shells and an axe. So not really useful for you, but potentially useful for me if we can actually find another one of these shotguns. So at this point in the game, you can clearly see that we're kind of running out of options. So the game is designed in such a way that there are certain setups, because the game is the locations are randomized at the beginning of the setup. There are certain setups which allow you to kind of peacefully explore the mansion and find the things you need to find without confronting the other players. But it seems like it's not going to be the case for this match, because we need 2 keys. There's one on the killer. If you kill the killer, you can get 1 key.
Okay.
There's one available here in the suspended skull room, and it seems that's kind of it. But we also have keys on ourselves, only we can't really get them ourselves. So this is kind of a macabre detail that the master of the ceremony actually sewn a key into each of us. You can't get the key yourself, but if one character defeats the other, then you can search the body and then you get all the stuff that the character had plus a single guaranteed key. So it's looking like we have to go full confrontation soon.
Okay. Okay. Let's do this.
Okay, there we go. This is a puzzle room. So puzzle rooms, like with the puzzle obelisk, they work a bit differently, but this one also closes behind me actually and kind of locks me in until I can find that pair of cards. So we'll grab a token. We'll grab a token which I'm not seeing, which might be... Let's use it's probably a mistake on my part, because I'm pretty sure I did have it in the Tabletopia mod at some point. So instead, let's use one of these.
Okay.
To show that this room is currently locked, so nobody can get in there. I can get out, but you can't get in, and the killer can't get in either.
Oh, okay.
And the killer is hunting. Okay, your turn.
Let's see here. I thought I saw one. Was I mistaken? I thought I saw a key.
Yeah, it's right over here with the pistol. So it's on the bottom of the board at this moment. Yeah.
Okay. I need to resolve the master ceremony, or we already did that, didn't we?
I believe I did that. Yes.
Okay.
So it's your turn to pick something. I'm defaulted to picking the search action, so I can just set it because I can't actually move.
Alright. And
Okay, let me see if I can get a pair out of 4 cards. I can't, but actually I can afford to not succeed for this turn. Because what that means is if you don't get that pair, we take one of these tokens, the exhausted reward tokens, and we place it over here. Come on, don't snap like that.
Yep.
Yeah, and this means that next turn I will be drawing 5 cards. So I've made some progress. I didn't solve the puzzle quite yet, but this number of cards under that symbol right now, that means that I'm gonna have 5 cards next turn. And because the killer won't be able to get to me, that's actually a risk I can take right now.
True. And it's time.
There we go. You get to exchange another room. So now we actually have a choice of 3 different exhausted rooms. We've got the skin-covered niche, the fake hostage room, and the puzzle obelisk. So you can pick one of these and exchange them for a card from the top of this deck on the left-hand side here.
All right, let's exchange the puzzle obelisk. Oh, it doesn't flip over, does it?
No, not yet. We have to get in there. Okay. So back to me as the first player. Oh, and also, you do have a single point to spend on the killer.
Okay.
Alright. So I must default to searching again, but you get to do your move. Five cards this time for me. And not a single pair.
Wow.
Alright, so in this situation what I want to do is I probably want to spend that resolve. And that should give me almost a guarantee, because there are 3 cards. There's 21 cards total, 7 types of cards, 3 cards each. So there's a very good chance that I will get a pair if I draw 2 more cards.
Okay.
And there it is. So I've got 2 ammo cards. In which case, I will take this placeholder die of the card. I will exchange this token to an exhausted room token, and I get this reward, the bullet, because that's the one that I had available once the shell was gone from my first failure.
Okay.
So I have a bullet now. And a gift from the MC. Okay. Move the killer over there and get 1 gift somewhere where I might want to go. Okay. That's mine. Okay. So you can now spend a single bullet and draw 4 cards and see if you can get a key. And you have plenty of resolve, so you can potentially spend a lot of it to eventually get that key card. So your chances are pretty good, I would say.
How many cards you say of each are in there?
3 cards of each.
Okay. Because 2 of them are already exhausted. So there's 4. Let's go ahead and do 1 more.
for 2 more cards. No such luck.
No such luck.
Well, there are 4 cards left in the deck, and you still have 3 resolve, so potentially you could keep going by
Yeah.
drawing a single card for each subsequent resolve point. So
Let's
just
do-
1 card this.
Let's do one more. There.
There we go. That's the golden ticket. Okay. So now you get a single key. So what happens when you get a key is you get to close a single room. You get to lock it the same way I was locked in my, but permanently. And the rooms that you can choose from are either the starting rooms that we started from, those are always eligible to lock, or one of the exhausted rooms that is empty. So
Okay.
at this point, the skin-covered niche or the puzzle room over here, because the killer, the one with the killer, is not empty because the killer is in there.
Let's do this one here.
Okay, so we can flip it over, and I'll just place that die on it again. Apologies again for not having the token here. For some reason, it didn't load.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Alright.
Right, so we also have to mark that room as exhausted.
Okay.
Okay, so you now are 1 key closer to victory. We only need a second key, and where to get it from, that's the question. So what happens now is we've locked a room, but you still get to draw an MC card.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so increases rage by 1.
Yep. Back to maximum. And also a single point to spend on something else. So moving him or HP at this point.
Okay. Yeah, we'll work on moving.
I do have a bullet now. Okay, well. I feel like I need some more firepower though.
Alright, let's go this way.
And that's another puzzle room, but this one actually
Ooh.
wins me a key, potentially. So we'll lock that one. And then... Oh, I moved whereas I was supposed to search that room, didn't I? Ah, my mistake. That's a mistake that might actually cost me the game. But it also makes it more tempting for you to go on
Yeah.
up, so we'll see what happens. Terror. Okay, adjacent rooms are the rooms that you can actually get to from this, so you don't you won't be under the effect of this card.
Okay.
But that means that I get 2 points, so I can actually send him your way.
Yep.
And we'll see if this changes anything. So again, you have to choose an attack or escape card, and in the meantime, I have to choose a search card, because I'm locked in a puzzle room.
I am going to escape.
Okay, so feel free to roll for it, and I'll see what the killer has on his dice.
Ugh.
His is 3 successes. So what you need to do is actually, you're if I'm seeing correctly, you're at 4 successes now, right? Because you used the escape card.
Yes.
and that one is 4 to 6. So actually, you have one more success than he does, which means that you will get to escape.
Okay. I'll take it.
And with no damage nonetheless. So choose where you want to go, and I'll just place him. I'll stun the killer.
Where do I want to move? Well,
Yes.
I'm gonna move
Well, you get to move a single space somewhere, thanks to the escape. And now his rage is also decreased by 1, so that's useful. And I'm supposed to draw some cards.
Don't forget to follow us on YouTube, the Game Cave. You might have to search for a little bit. It's still not
Nothing
updated,
here, but I will
be a
spend
link.
resolve, I think.
I think there's a link in the on the page down toward the bottom.
And that's a pair, and even 2 pairs. Okay. So I do get a key. And now I will get to lock a single room. Exhausted and empty, or one of the starting rooms. Okay, well, to make it more interesting, let's lock a starting room to kind of make the playing field a bit smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's your MC card now, I believe. Okay, and it says to activate him, I believe. So he won't stay down long. If you do right click on him and flip him, I think that's what I do.
Okay.
Okay. Or actually, I will change my mind. There we go.
Uh-oh.
Yep. So next turn is us who are in combat, and we'll see if the killer joins in, which can happen. But won't, not just yet. Okay, so I'll put down another gift. And then I'll move the killer. I don't want him to interfere.
No, he doesn't need to join in right now.
Yeah, not right now. And we can now see what happens. Yeah, well, I'm gonna take my chances as well. Okay, so what happens now is you're the first player, so we both roll our combat dice.
Okay.
And also, because we're attacking and we have different weapons, we have to actually, before rolling dice, we have to say what weapon we're using. So I'm going to use the pistol, so I have to expend a bullet.
I am actually using a pistol as well. It's a good
Okay.
old-fashioned showdown here.
Yeah. Okay, so your roll now.
Ugh.
Alright, so we've got 2 successes each. What this means is, because you're the first player, you're the first person to decide what to do about it. If you leave it as a tie, what will happen is we will deal ourselves the damage from our weapon -1. So we will both lose 3 HP if it stays a tie. But you can actually, as the first player, you can decide to spend resolve first. And if you do that, you get to reroll your 2 dice, and then we'll see if that changed the result.
I will take a resolve. I will re-roll these 2 dice right here. I need 6s. Come on. I'll take a 4.
Yeah, a four is enough. And actually, because I don't have any resolve, I can't actually do anything about that. So you have 3 successes versus my 2, which means you deal 4 damage to me. However, I do own the Kevlar vest.
Yep.
So what happens is that shot is absorbed by the Kevlar vest, and that item is discarded. But I've lost a bullet. And now we continue with the MC card. Your health should be 5, I think.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Cause,
Okay.
yeah, because we didn't. Yeah. Okay, Angry Roar. So 2 points to spend on the killer. In this case. Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, so, Alright, I think I know what I want to.
Man, I don't know. Alright.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But here's the thing. I can't use the gun anymore because I don't have any bullets left. But I do have the knife, so I'm still going to be using that. But my success margin is 5 and 6. And yours is 4, 5, and 6. And only a single success. That's lousy. What's yours like?
2.
Alright then, so you do get to escape, and you choose which location to escape to. While I just stand there with a knife in hand, not even knowing what actually happened.
Okay.
Alright, let's see here. Something changed. Alright, so we actually can get us another interesting room in. So what I'll do is I'll exchange this one over here.
Okay.
And 1 point for the killer.
Ooh, my decisions are very limited.
You have to choose who's best to fight now. I think you know the answer, but I will search there, so I might find something nasty to greet you with.
That's true.
Or you know, it might be just 2 damage. But a Kevlar vest it is. Alright, use your phaser first aid kit. Alright, so you can discard that card and get 3 HP back.
Okay.
And you're actually the first player, so it's your card now.
MC card.
Yes. Angry Roar. Okay, and this time it actually does take effect because there is a person adjacent, and that's you. So you're gonna get a panicked status. What this status means is this little card over here. That says that you draw 1 less card when you search, and you reroll 1 success in combat after you're happy with your result. But you may remove this card. You can kind of, chill down when you search. So it's going to be up to you if you want to do that this turn or some future turn. But as long as you have this card, it's going to decrease your combat abilities and your abilities to search a bit.
Ooh.
And now it's back to me being the first player. So something that you might want to take into consideration as you're playing this card, it wasn't very obvious from the other turns we've played, but the moves in this game are made simultaneously, which means that if I move out of the room and you move into the room, we don't actually fight, because
Okay.
we're considered to have moved there. I've moved out and you moved in at the same time.
Okay.
So, which I thought was what you wanted to do.
Exactly what I wanted to do.
The Killer's Wrath. Increase his rage by 1 and 1 point. Go stand in a corner.
You're here for the music, not the interruptions. Get YouTube Music Premium to listen.
Okay, let's do this. There we go.
Yeah, so now it's a chase. And it's your MC card.
Okay, let's look at that. Okay. MC card it is.
And a final gift from this deck. And we can reshuffle that. Okay, and also there was a single point there for the killer, so you can either move him or increase his health by 1. That's still an option.
You get next turn. Wow. Okay, so I'm primed for a good attack if you get the right card. Let's go ahead and move him this way.
Okay.
Yeah.
My card's ready.
Let's go ahead and do this.
Let's see what's here. Of course, it's the double damage.
Ooh.
And the Kevlar vest doesn't actually defend me from that, only in combat. So I will lose those 2 points, but I will get to resolve back. And we get another gift. Or actually, no, I'll keep him there. But I will increase his health. Alright. Ooh. This one's interesting because it actually allows me to exchange a single key for a shotgun with additional shells in it, which at this point might not be the stupidest idea because you have a single key on you, and then you also have 1 guaranteed key when I search you, so you do actually have the 2 keys I need to escape.
This could be
So-
dangerous.
We'll see, we'll see.
I will search the gift.
And that's a pistol, so you already have one, but you will receive a single resolve token.
Oh, okay. There we go.
And it's your turn for the MC card.
All right, here we go.
2 points.
All right, this is gonna go here.
Oh man. Okay.
I think I got. Woo! Okay, yeah, I'm gonna take a chance here on this next move. Alright.
Okay. So, what I'll do now is let's look at that MC gift first. First aid kit. Okay, useful. Alright, and now let's see what the killer does. Increase his rage by 1 and move him. We can't decrease the rage anymore, but we can definitely move him.
Welcome, Frost Brownie.
Okay.
You know what I'm gonna do? This, okay, here we go. This is why I am not afraid of monsters or killers.
Okay. So what I'll do is I will spend that key because it's high time I had something to shoot with.
Ooh.
Alright, so I do get a shotgun. The shotgun comes with a single bullet, but from this card I also get 2 additional bullets. And I've got 2 shells from before, so I actually have plenty of ammo.
Alright, this has to be 2. Looks and crannies.
It's gonna be 1. It's gonna be 1.
Alright.
Because we still have this room to clear from, clear off those tokens.
Okay, so we remove one of these.
Yes.
Let's see here. Gun or knife? You know what? The gun is more valuable at this point. Just give the option out there. Okay. And he will be moving. Wow, both X's are right here. That didn't work out in my plan at all.
Oh, let's see what happens. I still have to find 2 keys right now because I had one, but I've spent it. So that's my card down.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That door's locked. Let's go. Oh. I know.
And I'll use my action to heal. So I'm up to 9 points. And more gifts from DMC. Sorry, I kind of did that out of turn. I should have waited for you to move.
I
Sorry.
forgot to move. That was my fault.
Okay.
Ah, yes. Okay.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, I think I know where he's going.
Yeah, there's no other choice.
Okay, let's try it. So that's my card for combat.
Okay. I'm going to search. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and now, if you could please roll the 5 dice for the killer, and I'll roll my 4. I will use the pistol. No, sorry, the shotgun. So I do spend 1 shotgun.
Okay, he rolled 1, looks like. Is that right?
Oh, 3 actually. His is 4, 5, and 6. So he's got 3. So if I want to get him, I need to get 4. Didn't happen the first time, but I still have resolve, so I'll spend 1 point.
Yeah, it's time for him to go down.
And I still have 1 point of resolve, so I will re-roll that 2 again.
Trying to get
Yes.
damage on him, and he does. Ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. Okay, so that's
He
5
was
points of damage
successful.
from the shotgun to the killer.
He ruined my plans.
That was kind of lucky, and I think that luck's not gonna hold, but let's see what you do. Okay, so I'll draw a card first to see if he actually heals up a bit, because he probably will. No, wait, you have to use your search first.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of getting ahead of myself again. So you draw 1 less card because
One
you're
less.
panicked.
So 5 or 4.
4, yes.
Alright, and I needed... There's 2 keys right off the rip. Let's see here. 1... I don't have nothing. All I got is damage.
Yep. You do have the resolve if you want to spend it.
I think I'm going to need to save that. So... And I actually searched this room... for no reason. So I think I'll just take my loss on that one.
But you do get you lose 2 hit points, but you do get 2 points of resolve. So that's always something.
Okay. And 2 hit points going down.
And now let's see about that killer.
The killer.
The killer has a single point to spend, and I have to heal him by 1 point.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's resolve. Wow, I'm stuck. Alright.
Attacking again. Let's see what happens. So I'll use the shotgun again.
Okay. Three.
3 and only 1 for me, unfortunately. So what happens now is I will receive that damage from him, and but it does go into my Kevlar vest, fortunately.
Okay.
But yeah, without any resolve and with this kind of rage, it might be tricky to actually do any damage. Okay, and you're the first player, so let's get that MC card on the table.
Okay.
You can exchange a room. So maybe that will help you unstuck. So you get to choose from this one, or this one, or one of these.
Let's do this one. Okay.
All
Frost
right,
Brown, who
and
didn't
it's
like
time for me to make a decision here. I will escape, I think.
All right.
What's your move?
Oh, yeah, my bad. I'm gonna move one to the right.
Yep. Okay, and he's got 3 successes, right?
Well, I didn't. I did roll it, but I rolled it out of turn. But if you want me to re-roll, the
Yeah,
move.
let's keep. I don't think it's the same as last turn, so let's keep it.
Okay.
And I'll roll mine for a 4, 5, and 6 as well.
Nice. Oh, okay.
Not enough. So I do escape, but I receive the damage, and he will hit me for 4 damage.
Oh, you mean box?
And
the
4
dragon.
resolve there, and I
Yeah,
will
he's
escape
testy
to the
some
room
days.
you've just placed there, because let's see, maybe there's something cool there.
Ooh,
And there is a key potentially.
there is a key.
Okay, so what happens to the killer is he will now fall down. And we also decrease his rage by 1. And now he's kind of more squishy also, because I've already put some damage into him.
Frost, if you give him time, he may.
And
warm
we
up
get to
you.
change another room.
Can't guarantee it, but. Oh, you're making
Okay,
it
so
tempting.
because he's down and I don't have the 2 points to actually get him up, I have to spend the 1 point some other way, so I will heal him 1 point. Okay. Let's see what you find there. So potentially 2 bullets, which might be useful to you, and a first aid kit. Whereas I'm gonna search here, draw 5 cards and see what I... Ammo, which is exactly what I wanted. So 2 shells for me.
Now here's a question: do you, if you get the 2 bullets, do you have to accept those? If you had to resolve, could you resolve 2 more and try to get that key?
I could.
Okay.
I definitely could do that. It's always up to the player if you want to do that. For me, at this point, I'm kind of happy with getting those 2 bullets because, well, the killer is right there and I've already softened him up a bit. So
Okay.
I'm getting into this for the long run. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let's see what that killer does. If he gets up or if he just is gonna do some R&R. Yeah, R&R it is. And a gift.
He just chilling out.
Yeah, he did like, his amount of running during this game. So he's probably a bit winded at this point. Okay, so that 1 point that you have to spend is either for his health or his rage.
Let's do his health for now.
Okay. So, whenever the killer is stunned like this, he doesn't actually get into combat with me when I
Okay.
move there. So, as long as he doesn't get up this turn, which he probably will, but I'm kind of trying to take a risk here. If he doesn't get up, I will be able to search that room normally next turn. But if he does, then it's combat for me again.
And I will draw searching. Or did you search? Oh, yeah, you got search next turn. All right, so let me draw
Yeah,
4
not
cards
not
here.
yet.
And I'm looking for bullets. I'm looking for bullets.
Instead, what you can get is, if you don't spend resolve, that will be a knife. So that amounts to a single point of resolve.
Yeah.
Or you could potentially try and grab that first aid kit.
Yeah, that would be the only. Man, I really need those bullets. Resolve for 2 cards. You know what? This may sound like a waste of a turn, but I'm gonna skip that.
Yeah, not really, because resolve right now might prove crucial. So
Yeah,
it's
I
not.
think that's more important.
Yeah, so I'll just mark that knife reward as exhausted.
Okay.
And let's see if I made a terrible mistake here.
Yeah, Frost.
No,
Bots
I haven't.
protects the
Nooks and
cave.
crannies, so I get
So it's
to
constantly on the
unlock
move,
a
so,
single
yeah,
reward.
He's testy.
Let's go with the bullets from with the shells from the skull monument, and then I get to spend 1 point on the killer, which means he doesn't get up yet. He is regenerating though, which isn't really what I wanted, but hey.
He's coming.
Getting back into the game, yeah. And I found an axe.
Ooh.
Okay.
That shotgun's pretty powerful there, isn't it?
Yeah. The game is balanced in such a way that the shotgun is pretty rare, and the shotgun shells are not as easy to find as bullets, generally speaking. So, and since a lot of this is randomly generated every time you play, you get different scenarios. So sometimes you might get 2 shotguns, but like no shells, so they're only a single use, or a lot of shells and then no shotguns, so you're kind of hoping that maybe one of those MC gift tokens gives you one, or maybe like when you exchange a room, you're gonna exchange it for one with the shotgun. So the dynamic in this game is really very different every time you play.
Nice. Okay.
And now let's see if he gets up.
He's getting up.
Oh yes, he is. So that's combat for me. All right, I've got 4 resolve. I can deal with that. Do your search first. Let's see if you found something interesting there. That's the panic status. But you already have that, and because you haven't calmed yourself down yet. So that actually means that you get a single resolve point.
Oh, wow, okay.
That's that weird situation in which 2 negative things does make a positive one, I guess. All right. So in terms of my turn, I'm gonna spend a shell and try to get this killer. He now rolls, I believe, 4 dice because his rage is lower than it was before.
Thanks for testing that out for me. Not everybody does that. At least I know it works.
And I've got a measly single success. So that's not the killer's
Interesting.
roll yet, is it? Is it? Or
What is it? I'm sorry.
the killer should roll 4 dice now in combat.
Only 4. Okay.
Yeah, his rage has fallen to a point where he still deals 4 damage, but he only rolls 4 dice.
Okay. Oh.
And 3 successes, really?
That's
Alright, so what I'm gonna
nuts.
do is I will spend a resolve point to reroll 3. And that's still pretty terrible, so I do need to get those successes. So I will try that again for an additional point of resolve, just one more. Ah, really?
Wow.
Yeah, well, I'm getting desperate here, so let's spend all that resolve.
Someone
So
did
let's
pray to the
reroll.
dice gods this morning.
Okay,
There you
so
go.
that's not bad. I've got one last chance to get a 4th success and actually beat them. So yeah, let's see if those dice gods bless me or not. Yes, yes, they do
Yes.
like me.
And
All
they
right.
answer your
So
prayers.
so that's 5 points of damage for the kill. And he's down to 6. All right. He's probably gonna heal up a bit right now, but let's see what happens exactly. Terror. All right. So I do lose 1 resolve, but I have no resolve to lose. So that's fortunate because that means that even though that instruction, so what it says is if no characters lose resolve. So actually, I would have preferred to lose 1 resolve because now I have to heal him up again.
Oh.
Okay. I'm gonna fish for that key. Okay, so if you could roll those 4 dice for him again, and let's see what we have here. A single success. Okay, I can
That's
work with
doable.
that. I should have said before you rolled that I do use the shotgun again.
Yeah.
And then I did spend a shell, so let's see what happens. Oh, come on.
Are you serious? Holy
Yeah, not
moly.
a single success. Okay, so what happens now is I have no Kevlar vest and I have no successes. He's got 1, which is quite enough for him to deal me 4 damage, which leaves me at 1 HP.
Oof. Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of rough, but I do get 4 points of resolve back, so I might still be able to somehow change this into a success. Okay. Well, we've got a gift, so there are 3 tokens left, and one of those is a key. So, yeah, that's what I would do. And this kind of puts more pressure on me, because this means that if it is a key, then you're closer to victory than I am to actually defeating that killer fellow. So we'll have to do something about it. And the 1 point, what do you spend the 1 point on? Do you want to heal him or increase his rage?
Increases rate. No. Heal him.
Okay.
Because I'm thinking about myself as well here.
Yeah, at this point, all I can really do is try and escape. So let's do that, and let's see if it works. That's 2 successes for me. And let's see how many the killer rolls.
Here we go.
2 as well, or not. 2 as well, yes. Okay, so in this case, it's a tie, so he would win and actually kill me. So I do need to roll at least one more success. So that's a point of result that I'm going to spend. And yes, I did get one. Okay, so I'm going to go over here. The killer gets flipped and he gets his rage decreased by 1.
Okay.
And now let's see if he gets up. Yes, if he is stunned, we have to activate him. So he didn't stay down for long, but at least he's less ragey.
True. He's still down. Okay, still rolling 4 dice. Okay.
Yeah, but he deals less damage now. Okay, let's see what you found.
There it is.
And that is the key. Yes. All right then. So you do get a second key. You do get to close, to lock a second room before the MC card is actually taken. But I do move to your room.
Okay.
Because I won't let you escape that easily.
I'm going to lock this room right here.
Okay. You can just flip it and let's put a dice on it.
Okay.
Okay. So this is now probably the final showdown one way or the other. But first you need to draw that MC card and see if the killer joins us there or not.
I'm hitting the wrong button. There we go. Oh, there we go.
Okay, so we get to exchange another room, which probably won't matter that much anymore, but we'll see. One of these free over here, and then he also gets a single point.
I will move him.
Ooh. And now we get to use our cards. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. Okay, so what happens now is we first declare what kind of weapon we want to use. So which one are you using?
I will be using the pistol.
Okay, I'm gonna go with the shotgun, so I'll pay my single shell. And roll the 4 dice. And mine's a measly 1 success.
Oh yeah, my dice are right here. Okay, so here we go. Oh.
Ha! Okay, so now because you've got less success than I do, you're the first player to decide if you want to use resolve.
I do want to use 1 resolve.
Okay.
And I assume I can roll all these.
Yes.
That's way better.
Okay, that's 3 successes for you. Okay, so I want to at least match that. So what I'm gonna do is spend 1 of my...
Oh.
And I've got 3 successes as well, so now it's back to you. Do you want to try and get that 4th success?
I do.
Okay.
Here it is.
And unfortunately... Okay, so what can happen now is... It is in my best interest to try and match you, because you still have that panicked card, which means that even if we are matched, you will get to reroll a single success. And it might actually... There's a like 50-50 chance in this case that it's gonna put you under those 4 successes. So let's do that.
So the pistol is 4, 5, 6, correct?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
And now I will try to re-roll this one. Nope. But because this is a life or death situation, because I'm only at one hit point, I really do need to spend that last resolve and see if that helps. No, it didn't.
Oh my
Okay, so
goodness.
what happens is you do kill me. I do fall down. And what happens now is whenever a player dies, they're not really out of the game just yet. So what happens now is I will take over the Master of the Ceremony. I will now draw from 2 cards and pick one of them to resolve the other and place the other on the bottom of the deck, which gives me more control over the killer. And my goal now is to kill you. And if I do, then I can have victory from beyond the grave.
Okay.
But of course, if I don't manage to do that and you escape, then you still win. If you search the body of the participant I was playing, Zoe, you will not only get all the stuff that I have on me. You don't get the items if you already have them. This is an exception to that other rule when you get resolve. But you will get my 2 shotgun shells, for example, and you will get the shotgun. And you will also get 1 guaranteed key, which you don't really need anymore because you have 2. But a 3rd key would have been useful in that room that I've used with the safe box. So since my character is now down, I have to first close 2 additional rooms. And again, the priority is on starting rooms and rooms that are exhausted. So I'm going to go ahead and close this one and also this one over here.
Okay.
So the board is a bit smaller than it was. And now this first player card technically just stays around at your side of the table because I won't be playing as a regular player.
Okay.
So what I will do now is draw 2 of these into my hand, 2 of these Master of the Ceremony cards, and we'll pick one of them.
And now, how do I attempt to escape?
So once you have the 2 keys and you will search in the room, you have to find a pair from 3 cards, but you can use resolve normally. So you can potentially keep drawing cards as long as you have resolve to try and get that pair of cards, like in any other puzzle room.
Okay.
Okay. In the meantime, what I'm gonna do is I've got a card that will give me 2. I'm trying to see if yes, it will give me 2 points to spend on the killer. Because something changed cannot be resolved now, so it gives me 2 points instead of 1. So I will move the killer to you.
Ooh.
Obviously, I will increase his rage as well. The other card that I didn't pick goes under the deck.
Okay.
Okay, and now it's your action. And basically at this point you can just play it face up because there is no, like, you don't have to wait for my action. Okay. So 4 dice.
I need all ones.
Actually, what you have is enough because I've only got a single success. But you do have to re-roll that single die from the panicked card.
Okay.
So a single success. So one of the 4s you have to see if it stays a success or not. It stays a success. All right. So yeah. So you move. Where do you want to move to?
We'll go. Let's go there.
And the killer gets flipped as well.
Okay.
And now I get to choose from 2 cards again. Okay, so I'm just going to activate him. And it's your move again. Okay. So my card. So, by the way, this is a pretty long session of the game. Usually, a two-player game takes a bit takes doesn't take as long as we're playing right now.
Right.
We got few situations which made the game a bit longer. We
Yeah.
started off with locations that we couldn't really search, and that can also happen. Like I said, the game is because of its random generation, you can have these different scenarios. And obviously, once you get a good idea of how to play the game, the turns go very fast as
Very
well.
true. Very true.
You know what? I'm gonna play. Let's see if I can do this. Yeah, this is actually better. So something changed again, and I cannot do the instruction on it. So it's 2 points again for me, and that's gonna increase his rage by 2. So he's back to 5 dice.
Okay.
Okay. Your card. Okay. Let's see how that works out. So which weapon are you using?
I will be using the knife.
Actually, you
Wait,
might want to
let's
use the
this one.
axe.
Yeah, let's use the axe.
Yeah, because it's a better version of it, but the balance here is that the knife is used to as a requirement for some locations, whereas the axe isn't. So it's a better weapon, but it's more limited in its usage. Okay, and I'm back to 5 dice for the killer.
Ugh.
And I got 3 successes.
I have 1. I got to do this. Decrease by 1. I'll roll these 3 here. There's 2 more, and I've got to re-roll. How many you got?
Yeah,
3?
I've got 3, so you need that 4th success.
I need this 4th one, so do or die. Here we go.
Okay.
Ugh.
But you still have the panicked.
So I gotta roll one of these.
Oh yeah, but true. But you don't really have to because the 4 doesn't come in on an axe; it only goes in on firearms. So you will receive the damage, I'm afraid, and that's 4 points of damage to you. But also for resolve. So
We'll take it. Okay.
and I can still play that something changed card for its effect.
He's gonna go down.
So not yet though, because he's still in combat with you. He only
okay,
goes
yeah.
down after he's out of combat. So
was
I
wishful
still got
thinking.
2 points to heal him. So he's really ragey right now. And now it's up to you if you want to attack or escape.
I'm gonna attack. I'm gonna keep going at him.
Okay, so let's see if that works out for you. So I'm gonna roll my 5 dice. And that's actually only 3 successes, so that's not. And you've got 2. Okay. But plenty of resolve to go around. And now one at a time. Okay. Final chance. Nope. So the killer's got you, my friend, and that means that I do get some revenge from the grave.
You get the revenge.
Yes. There we go. The killer has reaped.
He has once again terrorized these halls.
So the way it could have gone differently was if you kind of tried to escape and get to that exit on the bottom, and maybe with the right cards that I would get, I wouldn't be able to actually get the killer up in time to actually catch you before you run. But that was a long shot either way, just because of how we locked down this relatively small setup. It kind of didn't leave you with a lot of options, and that's another thing that when a participant is eliminated, the player who plays that participant can do that thing where he closes different rooms, and that can influence the board in interesting ways.
True.
So I guess since the series, since your series is considered with Kickstarters, I guess it is apt to tell people that this game is currently on Kickstarter.
Yes.
We're currently having our Kickstarter campaign in the second day. So you can still check it out on Kickstarter at Halls of Horror and see if anything you saw in this video sparked your interest. We have more info on the website there, and also a full link to the rules and a full video with the rules explained.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'll link it as well. That way we can. That way we can link it from both YouTube and I do believe I think I already put it in there, but if not, you can definitely go to the YouTube channel and click the link there because I will have it linked in the description there. Which this will go up on YouTube tonight, early tomorrow morning.
All right. So in that case, I'll also add that if you've been watching now, or if you're watching this as a YouTube video, there's still a chance that you might get into our early bird deal, which is basically the base game at the same price that it's going to be later. That's going to be available for later, but we also add a bunch of bonuses on top of that. So you will get a digital soundtrack, you will get a digital art book, and some other small bonuses. So check that out. And if you're late for the early bird, don't fret. Those rewards, those smaller rewards, are still available for separate purchase if you really like the idea of having a soundtrack for your board game, or like a digital art book to see how the game's art came along. That's also something you'll be able to purchase later on.
That's cool. That's really cool, actually. Okay. Well, hey, stick around for a minute. Let me close this out, and then I'll be right back with you.
Okay.
Guys, ladies, gentlemen, cave dwellers, thanks for joining me today. If you haven't already, think about following us here on Twitch, and definitely go to the YouTube channel and subscribe to us there, where we are going to continue our series with Kicking It with Kickstarter, and we also have in the works some how-to videos on some other games, and we also stream Saturday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Join us there for just random games here on Tabletopia, Tabletop Simulator, and maybe here coming up we're going to do some actual live gameplay. So again, thanks for watching today, and we'll see you Saturday.